to Moonlit Fly Fishing, Fly Tying Night. I'm Brandon Moon, and we're going to bring you another one of our AeroFoam Guide Series flies with the AeroFoam Green Drake. An amazing pattern to fish during the Green Drake hatch and floats really well, and a real nice simple tie, really cool looking pattern. Make sure you drop a comment and let us know what your favorite mayfly is to tie and fish. Let us know any patterns that you'd like to see us tie, and then make sure you like the video, subscribe to see future notifications, and we'll see you next time. Have a wonderful day. The hook that we're going to be using today is the Moonlit Premium TOGGATA ML102. We tie this anywhere from a size 8 to 12. We're tying on a size 10 today. We're going to start our thread about the 2/3 mark. We're using Semperfli's Classic Wax Watery Olive in 12/0. And I'm just going to wrap that all the way back to the bend of the hook. I'm going to leave my tag end and move forward back up to the front. Once I get up to the front here, I'm going to take some Semperfli Predator fibers. This is a silver bait fish. And I've got a nice clump there. And I'm just going to hold that over the top and secure that down. You can cut this into smaller strips so that you can have a more manageable amount. I just got the full strip there, so the front end is pretty long. I'm going to taper this at an angle with my scissors, and I'm just going to clean this up. I'm going to create a smoother taper by cutting more off the top there, just so it's not as clunky. We'll trim out, holding our thread, any fibers that need to be trimmed out. Now I'm just going to trim this down just a little bit so it's more manageable, as you see there. Now I'm just going to take, holding that in place, we'll secure it down right on top, covering that up. And we'll just secure that down, wrapping rearward. I want to secure as much of these fibers as I can, but if there's any excess, it's not going to be too big of a deal. I'll hold my thread out here and trim out just a little bit. And we'll go back to the bend of the hook here, where we're going to take and tie in our tailing fibers here. So for the tail, I'm using iron done tailing Fibbits from Semperfli. And I'm going to take 4 strands, or 4 Fibbits, where this is a larger fly. And I'll just cut those out. Now I'm just going to take, loosely hold them in my hand and even out the tips. We'll measure that to be just a little longer than the hook shank. Hold that there and secure it down with about 3 or 4 wraps. And then I'll make sure I slide that up to the top. One more wrap in front there. Now I just got to splay and separate these tailing fibers. They're synthetic, so they allow me to maneuver and manipulate them in my hands. I like to push them up with my thumb. That helps me separate them just a little bit. Sometimes it takes a minute to get them to separate properly. It's easier with 2 versus 4 sometimes. So once I've got them separated, I can take my tag end of thread. I want to make sure that that tag end is going in between the 4 pieces, so I have 2 on each side. I can pull that, and pulling that tight is going to help splay those tail fibers even more. So we'll pull that tight, and that's going to help splay out that tail. And I really like this iron dun because it's kind of a dark dun black type color. We'll trim out our thread where we've got that secured down, and the tail, and we'll trim that out so that it tapers and builds right up into the body of that. We'll wrap back just behind where our tail starts and go underneath. And this is just going to help prop up our tail just a little bit more. Now we're going to take a piece of 1mm foam. I'm using the gray that I've marked with a olive alcohol marker, and then marked the edge with a lime green yellowish color. And then I tapered that so that I can create a nice good taper to this body as I wrap. Now I'm just going to wrap forward, and now I'm going to wrap my foam, covering with basically almost touching wraps, but I'll overlap just a little bit. And we'll do that all the way up to where we tied this post in, where I'm going to secure this foam down. We want this body to be just about 2/3 of this shank here. Trim that out. I like to pull it so when I trim it, it makes it tight. Now I'm going to hold that wing up just a little bit, go in front. I'm going to move that wing just a little forward there. Pull it back again and build a dam just in front of it to kind of help prop it up. I'm going to move my vise using the rotary feature so that I can visually see my wings as I separate them, and start wrapping in a crisscross wrap to separate these wings. We'll do that with a couple crisscrosses. And once we have that, I'm just going to do a wrap around each wing just to help kind of clump them together so that they're not quite as fraying out. Now for my hackle here, I'm taking a grizzly hackle from a cape, and I'm just going to take this olive marker and I'm just going to mark up this hackle. And I'll do the whole piece of feather here. I'm going to mark with the olive color. And you do this and you'll see a really good color of olive. After I've let it dry for a little bit, I do this before I start. You can see that color there. I'm going to trim out some of these funky wing fibers here. And then you can see I've got my feather prepped with bare stem, and then I've got a 1/4 to 1/2 wrap of bare stem on one side. When I wrap this, I want the shiny side facing forward. That's going to help me keep a cleaner eye. Now we'll start and we'll wrap that with about 3, maybe 4 wraps behind the wing. And then we'll pull the wing and wrap 3 times in front. And I like the capes because the capes will give me a variety of feathers here, but you can use saddles as well. So once I've secured that down, I'm going to take and pull the feathers back just a little bit. You can use a 1/2 hitch tool here, or you can whip finish. I'm going to use a little super glue here though. This is a trick that I like to do. So I'm going to take a little bit of my super glue with the brush on applicator that we sell. Just going to put a little dab there, and then I'll pull that back again, and I'll just put that glue onto my thread there on my head, and then I'll do a 2 or 3 turn whip finish. This is going to give me a nice, secure, durable head. As I pull that tight, it's going to seep into that head, that super glue, and dry really nice. To cut out my hackle, I take my razor blade and trim that out nice and clean. I can ply and maneuver my tails just a little bit so I get a nice good profile. Now I'm going to take and trim the top of my wing here so that it's just a little bit taller than my hackle. And we'll trim out these funky fibers here. You can see we're just cleaning that up just a little bit. And there you have the AeroFoam green drake. Thank you for watching.